Welcome to 734 Games, and this is your host Tom. And today we are playing a game by Pandemic Studios, the guys who brought you the Destroy All Humans series and the Mercenary series, and even Battlefront 2. I mean, this was a good developer that was killed off by EA in one of their little tirades against, small developers. I don't know, EA did a lot of things that kind of sucked. But anyway, this game is called the Saboteur, and it is set against the backdrop of World War II France, when it was occupied by the Nazi army. Now, if you enjoy the content that you see here, or any of the content that you see on my channel on YouTube, please feel free to smash that like button, comment, or like, or tell me whatever you think. If you don't like it, you can thumbs down. Or if there's something you want me to cover, you can put that in the description. Alright, let's get started with the Saboteur by Pandemic Studios.
Auf der Landstraße in
Is this seat taken?
I'm not looking for company.
You're in Paris, my friend. In this city, no one drinks alone. So, what are we celebrating?
We aren't. But if you're keen to get your teeth kicked in, I'll be happy to oblige.
I'd have thought you were too busy kicking yourself. With good reason, I'm sure.
What's it to you?
You think you're the only man in Paris hoping to drown a guilty conscience? This city is filled with men like us. We all have good reasons. I've been watching you these past weeks. I have seen that you have no love for the Nazis. The question is, how many more people will die at the hands of these jackbooted killers while you sit there cowering like a whipped dog? You're mad enough to break that bottle over my head, but you won't lift a finger to help these people, eh?
This isn't my country.
Oh, did you abandon your conscience at the border? Does the need for justice end at some line drawn on a map?
Aye, if it's a map of Ireland. You Frenchmen have unrealistic expectations.
Open your eyes! The war is all around us. You can't escape it. You can hide here and leave the fighting to braver men. Or you can walk out that door and do what must be done. The choice is yours!
Keep it down. That sort of talk will get us both a bullet in the back of the head.
I intend to do more than talk. There is a courtyard around the corner. Meet me there when you are ready to stop hiding.
I gotta tell you, before you play this game, or before you pick this game up, this game looks really good. It has really great atmosphere. But one thing about this game is it is kind of one of those old sloppy 2009 ports. Now, one of the things you're gonna have to do in the game is either go into the folder and fix the resolution yourself, because you have to go into the folder and find the area, the little tab that says settings, or a little file that says settings actually. You click on that and then you can change the settings. Also, you have to fix the controller support. When I played this game, you're seeing this game tonight, I'm playing it in controller, but I had to switch to keyboard and mouse. And then after I played this first playthrough, I found a patch that somebody had made to fix the controller support. And it works beautifully now. So that's one thing, the problem with this game, you gotta fix the controller support and the resolution, but once you do that, the game runs beautifully. And if you're on PC, you can play this game, and you're gonna love it. It's worth actually fixing and playing. The Saboteur by Pandemic Studios. It's one of those games that almost got lost in the shuffle.
I see you're a man who'd rather die on his feet than live on his knees.
I'd rather the Krauts did the dying.
Excellent. There is a German fuel depot down the street. 5,000 barrels of precious petrol, guarded by a handful of half-drunk supply clerks.
Sounds like one hell of a fire hazard.
My thoughts exactly.
We'll need something to get the fireworks started.
I know a place where we can get what we need. But first I must know. Are you prepared to kill if necessary?
Way I see it, these Nazi bastards bought their own tickets to hell. I'm just laying out the welcome mat.
Now, one good thing about this game is, or one good thing about certain platforms, if you're an Xbox guy, you can obviously, contact Microsoft on the forum and get this game in the backwards compatibility list, like Destroy All Humans and Destroy All Humans 2. That's another game series made by this developer, and it's in the backwards compatibility. Mercenaries, I don't think Mercenaries is, but that's another game that you guys would probably enjoy. Maybe I'll do that on here, but I mean, sometimes I'll do old games, and sometimes I'll do newer indie games. And sometimes I'll even do AAA, but I just like to change and do different things. So, I just pick out the games that I really think are cool and I enjoy, that I want to play and want to, toy around with. And this is one of those games. I mean, great atmosphere. I love how they went with the black and white and everything, and how certain things are in color. It really makes this game stand out. This game is a lot different than your normal run-of-the-mill open world type games. Now, if you're an old console collector, then obviously you definitely want to pick up this game if you haven't. If you're somebody who owns a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360, this is definitely the game for you. Although, as a collector, I would say definitely the PlayStation 3 is probably the better unit to own as far as older consoles. It's just one of those systems that was built for everything. I mean, it was a multimedia powerhouse basically, and the Xbox 360 was made to be inexpensive and cheap, sort of. I mean, it had a lot of good games, and the games played great at the time, but it's just not, like that system has some online issues now, and it's really slow. It was definitely built with online in mind more than the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 to me seemed like it was built more for single-player games, and a lot of their games are engineered for single-player. And this is actually a good single-player game, too. Now, if you're somebody who emulates PS3 games on your PC and ups the graphical fidelity, then obviously this is another good game for you. Now, I've never done that. I don't know how to do that stuff, but there's sites for that, and I'm sure the guys out there already have that worked out pretty much. As a Linux user, I have this site I go to this site called Lutris, and I know that a lot of you emulator guys, you guys with your PCs that you use for emulations, you probably go to that site as well, because they have a lot of ROMs for some of these old consoles. And obviously this is the GOG version. GOG is kind of like the lazy man's emulator, because you can get these old games and you can play them. The only thing is, like I said, this game is kind of a sloppy port, and the controller support does not work out of the box. But the wiki that I gave you will you could probably fix the game within 30 seconds if you know your way around a computer a little bit. Not everybody does. And I know, like, the new school console gamers out there, is I've talked to some people or conversed with some people online who just who like it to be easy, and they would just like a remaster. I don't think you're going to get that unless you write Microsoft and have them put this game on the backwards compatibility list, like Destroy All Humans, another game this company did. If you do that, then you'll have an easy turnkey solution to play this game right here, the Saboteur by Pandemic. Crazy thing about this studio, Pandemic, they were actually working on a Batman Dark Knight open world game before Rocksteady was, and of course they got canceled when EA shut the studio down, so obviously they couldn't make the game when EA shut the studio down. EA is famous for buying developers and then shutting them down. It's a sad story. EA was kind of like the Yahoo of the video game space. Like, Yahoo used to buy companies and do that, and it kind of sucks because they had a lot of talent there. I'm sure most of their talent probably found other places. I hear a lot of them went to 343 Studios at Microsoft. Microsoft was probably looking for developers because they were making Halo games. And I'm sure now, if you're a game developer or you're somebody who's looking for a job right now, Microsoft is probably still hiring. Microsoft's probably a good place to go if you're looking for a job in game development right now, because they are doing a lot of hiring. I don't know, they're looking to buy another studio, I hear, so that's going to be interesting. I wonder who they're going to buy. E3 is coming up, and we're going to see a lot of new games, and we're seeing a lot of footage of a lot of really cool games like Elden Ring and some other games that are coming out, but we're going to see a lot this next week with E3 hitting. And I can't wait. E3 is always fun. I don't know if I'll put out a video during E3 because there's going to be so much new stuff, and I kind of do random obscure games, and maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'll take a week off. I don't know. But I like bringing you guys these kind of obscure random games that are really cool. They have a level of quality, because this game does have a level of quality. Even though, like I said, it was a sloppy port, but the game looks great. The sound is great. The voice acting is really good. I really like the voice acting in this game. They did a great job with that. Like all the accents sound like they're supposed to, and everything about it, you feel like it's immersive, and you feel like you're driving and walking around World War II France. Occupied by the German military, and they're running around being jackboots and doing what Nazis do. So that's the kind of game you get here. And obviously, if you get to the first couple missions, it's going to be open world. And the open world, the game though looks good, and I love the black and white noir setting.
If we are spotted near the crate, the Germans will attempt to sound the alarm.
Then we'll have to get rid of that lookout first.
Yes, you should be able to find hand and footholds on the surface of that building. Climb up there and throw that Nazi piece of shit from the roof while I move in on the ground. Can you do that?
It's a piece of piss.
I do not know this phrase.
It means yes.
Du lässt uns alle schlecht aussehen.
Help me, Irishman! We cannot allow them to sound the alarm!
I won't even break a sweat. Now let's see what kind of party favors these Krauts brought for us.
Break open those crates. Those explosives will do nicely. Just remember to save at least one charge for the fuel depot. Let's get back to the car. How are you feeling, Irishman?
I'm anxious to get the real show started.
Most men would have lost their nerve by now. Tell me, my friend, what were you doing in Ireland before you came to my country?
I was a mechanic. Not that it's any of your business.
A mechanic, eh? Well, the Resistance could use a good mechanic.
I didn't know there was a resistance in Paris.
That's about to change. After tonight, the Nazis will have a new enemy to fear. depot is just up ahead.
We'll need to create a diversion to get past that gate.
The Nazis are trained to investigate the sound of gunshots or an explosion. Use that to your advantage. 10 pounds of high explosive on that truck should get their attention.
Aye, that'll do.
Start by climbing that building. Once you're on the roof, keep your head down and wait until the truck explodes. Then, use that telephone wire to cross the street into the fuel depot. While the soldiers are distracted, move in quickly and place a charge on the primary storage tank.
I'll meet you by the gate when it's done.
Watch your ass, Irishman.
Now, while this game is an open world game, and sometimes open world games, they're not as tight as you know, especially back then in 2009. Those games were not as tight as some of your more linear style games. But this game actually has a pretty tight story. Even though you can go and you can do the missions, the main missions, but you get to do other things. But the story is very tight. That's one thing. One criticism I had of Grand Theft Auto, a lot of their games, is not all the missions. I mean, you had the missions that were tight seemed kind of silly to me, especially like back in the San Andreas days. And then like when you went out and did other stuff, it was kind of like it just felt kind of lame. This game doesn't have that. Even though this game was made back, you know, in 2009, and that was a long time ago. This game, it doesn't have that lane. It feels like once you bump everything up, once you get everything working, it feels like a modern game, just as good as any modern game. Running at 4K, it runs great, and that's one of those things I like. I like a game with a tight story that you can enjoy. Now on the GOG store, this game is $4.99, and I looked today and it was $4.99 on Origin as well. Of course, if you have the EA Access, you can play this game on your PC. The only thing is EA Access doesn't work with Game Pass Ultimate yet. I tried it, it's not working, so that kind of sucks. They keep advertising that we're going to get EA Play. It's taking forever. Now on console you can't play this game because obviously it doesn't run on the Xbox One, but you can play the other games like Destroy All Humans too. And maybe I'll do a video of that one. That's a really cool game. I actually have a box copy of that game. And you know, it's like I kind of like to collect, you know, some of these old games because they're fun to play. And this is just one of those games. What I like about GOG is that there is no DRM with GOG version. So it's almost like having a box copy of a game. So GOG is the next best thing to a box copy. Now I think after doing Destroy All Humans Pandemic, they had experience doing immersive period video games, so they decided to do this game. And I think they did a really good job with this game, and they really did their research on, you know, how the clothing went, how the clothing looked, and all the cars. That's one really cool thing. Like at the end, after I'm done talking, you're going to see a little scene where they're going to show one of their race cars from back in the day, you know, before the war, and they're going to be in the countryside of France. It's a really cool little story segment that'll give you some insight into the main character here, the Irishman here, who's helping the French resistance. Now, this being my last video before the big entertainment expo in LA, I'm kind of looking. I have big hopes for this year, you know, high hopes for this year at E3 because there's so much cool things that came out this year. Lots of new hardware. And it's funny, even the Atari VCS came out. Actually, ended up showing. I mean, came out. I don't know if they're gonna have a big E3 show. But I can't wait to see what Microsoft and Sony pull out because Microsoft and Sony both make great games. And of course, Microsoft bought Bethesda and they make awesome games. And Sony, you know, there are third-party developers, a lot of third-party developers out there that make some really cool stuff. And I can't wait to see it because with the new hardware and everything, I just kind of want to see what they have in place, you know, how they're going to innovate. And I hope they do have some more innovative games because, you know, last year was kind of disappointing. I mean, to a lot of people. I like the Xbox. I was one of the few people who liked the Xbox show better than the PlayStation 5 show. But they're both. I mean, if you're a fan of either company and you buy their unit, you will probably be thoroughly entertained. You will probably have enough content to tide you over with the backwards compatibility. Although I wish Sony went a little bit heavier on backwards compatibility. And that's pretty much it for this episode of 734 Games. This is your host, Tom, signing off from 734 Games, where gaming is alive.
I'm somebody nobody loves. Oh me, oh my, my, my. I'm somebody nobody loves. I wonder why. Although I know it sounds alarming, I pray Lord bend me.
Ah, bollocks! What's got into you, mate?
What the hell are you doing?
What's it bloody look like?
Your whore is my girl now, Sean. I will not have another man picking up her skirt.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Jules.
You're a driver now. You want respect on the circuit? You gotta stop thinking like a mechanic.
All right, I'm put on airs like some posh wanker with a silver spoon up me arse. No thanks, brother.
Veronique!
Morning, beautiful.
I'm coming along for the race. Vittore asked me to take pictures.
Couldn't he wait till I'd made myself a little more decent?
I don't believe in miracles.
Oh, my sister got all the charm.
And the brains.
That's enough screwing around. We've got a race to win. You boys have work to do. Both of you.
Say the word, boss.
Let's get our girl on the trailer. I want to be across the border by sundown. Ready to move out?
The truck is loaded and ready to roll.
And the Aurora?
Trussed up tighter than a nun's arse.
Good. Veronique and I will ride ahead. You boys take the truck and head east to the German border. From there, it's a straight shot to Saarbrücken. I've marked the location on your map.
Come on, Sean, get in.
Yeah.